Hey, what's up, guys? Time to do a little knife review slash testing today. Gonna test 3 different Bark River knives. First, we have the Bravo 1 LT. This knife is in 3B. Actually, this is my newest one. Got G10 handles. Next, we got the original Bravo. This one's an A2. The old beast. Had this knife for a long time. I want to say up front that if you're thinking about purchasing one of these, probably anything that you're worried about, I wouldn't worry about. Saying that because I've had this for several years and I've done everything with it. Built shelters, baton wood, made feather sticks, whatever you can think of. I've probably done it with this knife. It is an awful thick knife, which makes it good and bad. I think the way that Bark River does their edges, even though it's awfully thick, it cuts really well. I'll show you what I mean. Really what it comes down to is the angle that you hold the blade against the material you're working, which maybe sounds complicated, but I can kind of show you before we get started. Where the back of the knife is not going to lay flat and cut anything. Every knife's going to have to be tilted a little bit. This one just maybe a little more so. See, it's not biting here, so you get this angle. Now it starts to bite into the wood. Where a thinner knife, this is the next knife we'll test, is a Bravo gunny. You know, something like this. I mean, you barely got to get it off the back of the knife, okay, off the wood, and it's already starting to cut in. So, at any rate, those are the 3 knives we'll be working with here today. We're just going to cut some rope, some paracord, got some cardboard, make some feather sticks, maybe baton a few pieces of wood, just to kind of show you what they can do. Let's start with the feather stick. That seems to be popular, and hey, who doesn't like making feather sticks? It's fun. So let's start out with the original Bravo, an A2. We'll just see if we can make some curls. So that's what I mean about the thick blade. Don't be afraid of it. You've just got to get the right angle, and it does just as well as a lot of my thinner knives, probably better. And I've sharpened this knife a bunch, and it's easy to sharpen. Actually, I've got a ton of Bark Rivers. They're all easy to sharpen. Convex edges people are scared of, afraid of trying to sharpen one if they've never done a convex. It's easier than, and maybe we'll do another video of that some other time, but it's easier than a regular ground blade. I think it's really simple. But anyways, you can see what that one does. We'll try the Bravo 1 LT. This one's in 3V steel. I mean, that one just really does a nice job. Next one is the Bravo gunny. Probably the way I'm holding the knife, it looks like I'm really bearing. I'm not pushing hard on these guys. I know it probably looks like it in the video, but I'm really not. If I was pushing hard, it would look like this, and that's what the knife would do. Same with this one. I mean, I can cut right through this piece of wood in 1 or 2 cuts. That's what they really can do if you put some muscle into it. So when I'm doing this, I'm not pushing hard. I'm just trying to be precise, I guess you'd say. Trying to get it to make some feathers. Back to the LT. So I'm not trying to prove anything here. I'm just showing you guys that may be in the market for one of these 3 knives. They're all 3 really popular knives, and sometimes you're not sure how they would perform. I'm just doing this. You can kind of see for yourself. I've already spent the money, so before you spend yours, you can see which one you think works the best. Doesn't matter what I think. I like them all. I think you should own them all, but that's just me. Oops. So anyways, you can see they all do, I would say, almost equally well. I don't really see an advantage one to the other. You'll probably get a little bit thinner ones with the gunny, because it's a lot thinner blade. But I don't know, this LT is pretty sweet. This is my newest, and this is the first cutting I've done with it. But my other 2, well, this one hasn't cut much at all, actually. I've messed with it a little bit. This one I've done the most with. All 3 of them, I know you can't see that, but trust me, it's shaving sharp. This one, maybe not even as sharp as my old Bravo. And the gunny, all 3 of them, shaving hair, guys. I know you can't see it, but it is. So they're all sharp knives. So they make feather sticks. Yippee, they're knives, they're sharp, they cut. We knew that, right? But we're just playing here. So let's start with a gunny. This is just nylon rope. This is not paracord. I have some paracord. This is not paracord. This is just like chainsaw, or your weed whacker pull rope, basically. It's just a nylon. It's really, really strong stuff. I've actually hung deer up in here with this stuff, so it's pretty tough stuff. It's harder than paracord, let's put it that way. Paracord has that really soft type feel and bends easy. This stuff's pretty stiff, pretty hard. So just describing kind of what it's like that we're cutting. So this is cutting right through this without putting a whole lot of pressure on it. See, fire starter, right? Okay, the LT. Not doing as good a job. Having to put a little bit more pressure. This is the original. And this one definitely, because of the thickness of the blade, I'm having to push a little harder. I mean, they're all cutting it. I know it doesn't look like it because it's sticking together, but it is cutting all the way through it. So, gunny. Okay, we'll cut a piece of this. You can see. Pretty tough stuff, actually. You can see I'm having to put some pressure. This stuff's pretty tough. Try it with the LT. Maybe. So there you go. They cut rope. Got some paracord here. Goes right through that really easily. Probably don't have enough to grab here. Nope. No problem cutting that stuff at all. Don't see an advantage between those two or one or the other. That one really cut it really easily also. So everybody likes to take a knife and bang on wood. I know I do. Probably even when I don't need to. I baton wood because it's fun. So we'll start with a excuse me, we'll start with a gunny. See how this one does. This is, by the way, if you're wondering, this is tulip poplar. It's pretty prevalent where I live. I mean, you don't see it every day, but it's a hardwood. It's a soft hardwood, if that makes any sense. It's considered a hardwood, but it's soft, not as soft as something like basswood. But it's not red oak, it's not white oak, it's not hickory. So we'll just see how this does, what it takes to actually baton through this. Obviously not very much. So the gunny works admirably well on that. This is the LT 3V. No worries there. Bigger piece here. In the original Bravo and A2, a good chunk here. Oh, I did hit that pretty hard because it was a thicker piece, but this one definitely is the easiest for batoning because of the thickness of the blade. I mean, it just splits it like a wedge, while the other ones are much thinner, so you're kind of pushing the knife through rather than just splitting it. But point is, even down to the little bitty gunny, it works really well. It'll do what you need to do to process some wood, make a fire, feather sticks, whatever. Next we have some cardboard. Cut some cardboard. I got some pieces here. Where do we want to start? Let's start with the original Bravo 1 and A2, and we'll cut the cardboard both ways with and kind of against the corrugated here and see how it does. So we'll cut with it first. I'm going to test these side by side. Okay, no problems. Okay, now we'll go to the next knife down, which would be the LT. I know some guys are thinking I'm repeating these knives too much. Yeah, dude, we got it. But some people may be just starting to look and not know the difference. There's the different models, so just trying to make it clear for guys that aren't into bark rubbers yet. Which everybody should be into bark rubbers. They're awesome. Okay, now the gunny. They're all working easily. This one, I don't know if it's a 3V steel, if it's the edge is more edgy, toothy. I don't know. It seems to work the best. I would expect that this one would work the worst, the original, because of the thickness of the blade. But I mean, it does the job. It does fine. But I'd probably give the nod to the LT on that. Not that I'm trying to say one's better than the other. I just what I'm feeling here. So we'll go back to the LT and we'll kind of cut against it a little bit. You can see I'm taking off pretty thin strips and just pushing. I'm not sawing, I'm just pushing through, and This knife is cutting right through it like butter. The gunny. Probably a little easier. But you can see it sticks there. I wouldn't say it's easier. I'm getting into some of this tape, so it's kind of catching some. Yeah, the LT is beating the gunny a little bit on this test, I think. And I'm going by pressure and how I'm pushing, guys. It's not scientific, obviously, but I can feel what's... So here's the original Bravo. Really doesn't have any problem with this. As far as catching, it's not catching, it's not really crumpling it up, it's kind of just going right through it. So guess what, guys? These sharp knives cut cardboard. How exciting. There, we got a big pile of stuff. Let's go back into making some shavings again. Now we've used them some. This is on that tulip poplar, which, like I said, it's a hardwood, but it is pretty soft. But it would be a good wood if it was dried out. It catches easy. I mean, catches a spark easy. LT. This is the original. Gunny. Let's do one more test before we end the video here. Something like this. Let's baton cross grain and see which one takes the most force to get to go through a piece of wood like this, or maybe not all the way through, but into it anyways. So I'll do it like so, and we'll say 3 hits, about the same amount of striking force. And I'm not wailing on them hard as hell, guys. You can see I'm giving a good, so you can see how far that one, the LT, went in. Use the same piece of wood. Go to the gunny. Pretty close. Now the original Bravo. I mean, if you drew a line across them, they're pretty close. I mean, I think the further you got into a piece of wood, this one would, I mean, cutting this way across the grain wouldn't do as well because of the thickness of the blade. It's going to start sticking more. See if I got another one about the same size. There we go. Okay, now we'll take the gunny into this piece. LT. Right through it, no worries. So anyways, guys, like I said, not trying to prove anything in the video, just showing you what these 3 knives can do if you're thinking about purchasing one. You know, my recommendation is buy them all, but they're all gonna do the job of bushcrafting skills, batoning stuff, feather sticks, general cutting chores. I wouldn't be afraid to have any of them, and the main difference is how big of a knife do you want to carry. This thing can do most of the things that these two are going to be able to do. It's going to be a smaller package, a lot lighter, but you know, you're not going to have quite as much reach because of the length of the blade, a little less. You're not going to be able to beat on this on super hardwood as much as you could these two. And I would probably say, especially this one's thinner. It's kind of in between. You got the thickest, the middle knife, and then the gunny is the thinnest. This is 3V steel. It's supposed to be super, super tough. I'm not going to tell you it is or it isn't. I don't know. I'm not a metallurgist. I don't work with steel. I haven't had this knife very long, so I haven't got to do a lot of cutting with it to see how the edge holds up. I've had other bark rivers in A2, really wailing on them, hitting knots. I've had them, you know, chip a little bit. Nothing major. You know, something that can be sharpened out in 5 minutes most of the time. I hear that this 3V, that's why I bought this knife, is it's supposed to be super, super tough and take a lot of abuse. And not to say I go around beating on pieces of steel and stuff like that, but just if I was out and everybody wants to use the what if it's all you have scenario and you're trapped in the wild, and I mean, realistically that's probably not going to happen with 99.9% of us, but if it did, why not have the best knife with the best steel? This is supposed to be, but I wouldn't be afraid to have either one of these two either and have to depend on it. They're all three really well made by Bark River. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.